Let me give you two scenarios. Scenario A. You see a woman running away from a man. He's chasing after her. I think many people would think right off the bat that the man is the bad guy, that he's trying to kidnap her, or rob her, or worse. Scenario B. What if you saw a man running away from a woman? Again, I think many people would think that the man is still the bad guy. He must be running away from her because he just robbed her, and she's chasing after him to get her property back. But maybe in scenario A, the man is chasing after the woman because she just robbed him and wants his wallet back. And in scenario B, maybe the man is running for his life. It seems like people think men are always the bad guys and women are always the good guys, no matter what the situation. Men are automatically guilty. In that What Would You Do segment, for example, men were viewed as the bad guys when they were being abusive to the women.
You look like a psychotic person.
But they were also viewed as the bad guys when the women were abusing the men.
I figured, well, he probably deserved it.
My first thought was that he must have cheated on her.
I was thinking that same thing. You look guilty.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's always an excuse to hit men, but never an excuse to hit women. It's as if women can do no wrong, and even if they are doing something bad or being abusive, the man must have done something to deserve it. So in the end, she did the right thing. There's always a man to blame. This double standard against men exists in our legal system. Women get more lenient sentences than men for the same or even a worse crime. In fact, women are sentenced to 40% less prison time than men for the exact same crime under the exact same circumstances. You know, feminists never shut up about the wage gap, but they never say anything about the crime and punishment gap. Just like there are different factors for the wage gap, there are different factors for a crime that determine the punishment. So unlike feminists, I'm not going to yell discrimination right off the bat. But the difference is this. When you control for all the factors for the wage gap, you'll find that if anything, women out-earn men. But when you control for all the factors of a crime, men still get harsher prison sentences for the same crimes. Factors such as severity of the crime, prior criminal history, and circumstances of the crime all play a role in the sentencing. I understand that sometimes the same crime should be dealt with differently depending on the scenario. But gender should not be one of these distinguishing factors. A crime is a crime. When all else is the same, an adult female should be treated no differently than an adult male. Yet gender is the most significant biasing factor in determining whether or not someone will be charged, prosecuted, indicted, and sentenced, as well as determining the severity of the sentence. In the UK, judges were told to be more lenient to female criminals. They say it's because women are more likely to have mental health or educational difficulties. Well, what if the woman in question doesn't have any mental health or educational difficulties? You are judging this person as a member of a group, not an individual. Besides, what about all this jazz about how women are outperforming men in the field of education? All of a sudden that's not true now? I guess they're only strong and independent until things get a little bit difficult. There is a chivalry factor in the legal system. The courts are designed to give equal protection. And the more a judge or jury sees women as being weaker, the more they'll feel the need to give them more protection. Well, seeing women as weaker would be considered sexist and chauvinistic. But as a result, the courts are not dishing out as strong of a sentence to them. So in this regard, feminists and chauvinists are both female protective. Ironically, female judges are less female protective. Male judges tend to be more chivalrous, and many are not even aware of it because this chivalrous desire to protect women has been so ingrained. In fact, the greater the proportion of female judges in a district, the lower the gender disparity for that district. So if there were more female judges, there would still be a gender disparity, but more women would go to jail. There are plenty of cases where we clearly see a double standard in the legal system. There was one case where Marjorie Filipiak and a 16-year-old Heath Wilkins both pled guilty to being co-conspirators in a murder. Neither was a hardened criminal. Heath Wilkins got the death sentence, but Marjorie went free. When Heath was found to have been a victim of child sexual abuse, it did not deter the judge from giving him the death sentence. But when Josephine Misa was found to have been the victim of child abuse, the jury freed her. And Josephine had killed her 23-month-old son with a plunger. And there was another murder case in Colorado where two completely different juries convicted two different people of the crime. Both juries believed that there was only one murderer. One convicted Bobby Hogan, who was a woman. The other convicted Jess Jacobs, who was a man. She got 10 years in prison. He was put to death. These were just a couple of examples of the double standard. Also, if women are convicted, they are more likely to receive treatment sentences rather than prison sentences. Also, women almost always receive lower bail for equal crimes. We live in a society where making a woman uncomfortable is a crime, but a woman beating the crap out of a man is funny. We live in a society where innocent men are already branded as criminals. Mirko Fischer, who I talked about before, was asked to change seats on a British Airways flight because a man cannot sit next to a child that he doesn't know. This is a rule that, of course, didn't apply to women. And more recently, an adult male was shopping by himself at Barnes & Noble, but he was in the children's section. Uh-oh. Do you think maybe he was shopping for his nephew or something? Nah, unthinkable. He must be a child molester. This man's name is Omar Amin, and he was asked to leave the store just for shopping for his nephew. Men look suspicious just for being men. You can be minding your own business, and already you're viewed as a criminal. This would never happen to a woman. This type of prejudice permeates everywhere, and it carries over into the legal system. There is no way I can do this topic justice with only one video. In future videos, I'll be talking more specifically about the death penalty, false rape allegations, plea bargaining, domestic violence, sexual harassment laws, and other specific cases where the men get a harsher punishment for committing the same crime. I haven't even begun to scratch the surface. All I wanted to do with this video was set the stage for some future videos and show that we live in a society where men are automatically viewed as guilty.